guys, it's Brittany Clues, week 1 of the Chic Critique, photography critique, and I am working on Shella's images right now, and it's fun to read about her because it sounds like just the way that I started into photography. So, love it. Just super happy that she's taken my class. She's got some gorgeous images, and I can't wait to tell you guys a little bit about my thoughts. So, so she loves this image. Look, I mean, what is not to love about that? Look, I just want to eat that baby right there. Oh my God, so cute. So she loves the way the eyes pop, how vibrant the photo is. Edit's a little over the top, but kind of like that way. Do I approve of the edit? Another way to edit to look better. So settings, 50 millimeter, 2.8, 1/125, ISO 100. All of those are really, really great settings. So now let's talk about the image, what I love about it. I love the expression. I mean, gorgeous setting, gorgeous light, adorable baby, really cool prop. She's actually holding a flower. That's unbelievable. I mean, you couldn't get better than this. And the edit, maybe it's a little over the top. I don't know. I really like it. I think it's really pretty. You kind of took blues to more of a turquoisey, but everything feels very summery and warm and natural. The eyes are popping. I think it's a beautiful edit. And also just sort of keep in mind that, like, you know, editing, whenever you start to do editing like this, these are all things that are going to eventually build into a style, which is part of the thing that you become known for. So, I mean, play around with different, you know, edits, and it's okay if it's a little bit too out there, because if you love it and if you can keep replicating it on photos, then that very well could end up being your style that other people then, it's going to be the primary reason people are going to come after you as a photographer, because they're going to want you to make their photos look just like this. And I think this looks like a very warm, colorful, just beautiful image. So I think you've done a great job there. Now for a few critiques, because unfortunately there always has to be a little critique. This is something I used to do a ton at the beginning of my photography career. And I actually, in a one-on-one workshop, got told this piece of advice, and it really, really makes a lot of sense to me. And sometimes until you hear it, you don't really see it. When you angle the camera, which is what you've done, like in my mind, the way I used to think about that is making the image look very artistic and angled and unique. But what it really does is make people look like they're falling off of a hill. Like, I see this baby and I love everything about it, except for the fact I feel like somebody's tipping the couch on her and she may, like, fall off over here. And so as hard as it is to, you know, what I think people try to do, and this is, I mean, that's what I used to do, is that, you know, Uncle Joe would take a photo straight up and down, you know, and everything, like, you know, perfect angles and everything straight around. And I thought that was boring. And so I thought if I turned the camera and used these very, like, artsy-fartsy angles, that would make me look more like a professional. But do this. If you go and browse several, you know, high-end professional photography websites, most of them are going to have images that are very vertical and horizontal. They're not going to have a lot of crazy angles, not a lot of bend to them, and it's because this tends to be something, this tilting of the camera, that starts to sort of separate sort of that amateur from the professional. So I would say the fastest way to jump into that professional look is, it's like how to shoot like a pro. Well then, act like it. And so just turn that camera. Make those angles really nice and sharp. Let vertical images be vertical and let horizontal images be horizontal, or very, you know, slight. Let's say you're shooting down on a face. Sure, turn the camera a little bit. Go for it a little bit. But like this, where it looks like the side is being lifted up, I don't know. I think that you could have gotten the exact same effect and even better if she was just almost at a 90-degree angle sitting in a chair. So maybe try to go back to this photo and recrop it and see if you agree with that. So those are my thoughts on that. The next image, love this. So obviously an engagement couple, or maybe married couple, who knows? I, for some reason, just immediately thought engagement. You want to make these colors really pop without making the photo look over-processed or face. What I'm missing that would have made it spectacular: a better pose, lower f-stop, something else. Tendency to use too open of an aperture when photographing more than one person, end up with out of focus faces. Okay, so you're shooting this on 6.3. So aperture 6.3. I think that is a pretty closed down aperture. I mean, I typically shoot a couple together, I would say like around 2.5, 2.8. If you're getting people out of focus, you are either too close to the people or you're not being super still. So for this example, if I was shooting them, I would have it on about 2.8, and I would probably put the focus on either this eye or this side, because that's going to pick up the middle. Now, let me talk about a couple of things real fast. I love the setting. I like how their clothes really match the setting. She's got the cowboy boots. You've got this vintage distressed, wall that's behind them. They obviously look outdoor. It looks very Western, and I really like that. Now, what I don't like about it is these people are holding hands. So this tells me they're not brother and sister, right? Like they're engaged or married or something, but they have like 3 feet of space between them. So, I mean, if they're in love, let's let them be in love. Let's let them be cuddling and squishing. And I always want my people, I want to show that connection. And sometimes even through photography, you can be almost pretty much on top of each other, I feel like, and it won't always look that way in camera. And so I have my families and my couples and everybody, I get them really close. I even play what's called the squish game, where I say, okay, they could be standing like this apart, and then I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, pull her in and squish her in, and then like cuddle her almost as tight as you can. And that's going to really show that real happy, loving connection. She looks, pretty stoic right here. He looks a little bit more kind of relaxed, but I think this gap here is kind of like throwing me a little bit. I wish that they just would have been sitting closer together. I think that would have made it spectacular. But I think that you've done a beautiful job on the edit. You've lightened it up. You've popped the colors. I really, really like it. If her expression matched a little bit more of his, and if they were a little closer together, a little bit more relaxed, comfy, I mean, knockout image right there. Great job on that. Okay, so now let's look at this family one. You think that this is pretty good, but not outstanding. You love the mountain in the background. Usually try to make some kind of vignette to make sure the attention's on subjects, but don't always like how it turns out. Don't like the grass in the photo. Could either use paintbrush, to burn, low exposure, blah, blah, blah. Do you even need to make a vignette? Sometimes vignettes are really nice. I actually sometimes like the effect that they have when they're used right. I feel like this image, I don't know how much more image you would have had. I think a vignette here, it's too close to them. It would have started burning, too close to their feet and the sides, and I think it would have made it look a little bit processed. So, in terms of a straight out of the camera, great job on exposure. I really like how you've sort of mixed up posing. She's turned. We've got arms crossed. His legs up. I'll make a comment on this in just a little bit. Her hands in the middle. So, again, everybody looks really happy. There's those mom images that I say, a mom's going to love this. I would think that this is an image that this mom loved. Her whole family is looking at the camera. Everybody's smiling. Like, everybody genuinely looks like they like each other. So that is like A+ right there. What I think is funny is you shot this whole family on 2.8, 5 of them, and you shot 2 people on 6.3. So hopefully this proves that you could do it. Really like this background and the mixture of colors and textures. So great job. A couple of things that I try to not do. I know what you're trying to do here. You're trying to pop his leg up a little bit, so it just, adds something interesting. But it makes him look like a peg leg. It makes him look like he's like missing a leg. So I try to not do anything that people are going to look like they're losing limbs. So, if you could bring the foot down a little bit or have him like cross his leg over here, so you can still get that sort of, mix up of your leg, but instead I feel like it just brings a lot of attention right there. Secondly, let's go back to the connection. So I think this hand belongs to this little girl right here and not the dad. I like to make everybody be touching or connected in some way. So even as something as simple, I think you've done a great job right here. Just have him put his arm on the side of her arm. Have this mom maybe hold this girl's hand, obviously, so that everybody kind of flows together in some connected way. So I think if you were to do a couple of those things, that would be great. But again, great image. And my only other thing is look at details in terms of all around their head. So kind of like this peg leg thing. We have a little bit of a unicorn, right? There's some kind of steeple looking thing right here, and to me that looks like it's coming out of the top of his head. So I always quickly look around for things that are coming around my people's heads, and I just want to make sure nothing like that is jutting out. So I would probably just, use the background right here and make it a little bit more of the mountain and get rid of it. So that is my advice. Beautiful, beautiful images, and I can't wait to see what you have for the rest of the week. Thank you so much, or the rest of the month, I should say. Bye-bye.